Also, for more on this, we're now being joined by our Voice of America correspondent, Jessica Stone. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. Let me just begin by asking you, what were the big key takeaways for you?
Well, I think the economic focus out of the gate was something that the president wanted to lead with, given what propelled him into office was a lot of voters concerned about the economy, especially those in the middle. I think what's also really interesting is the way in which we saw the Democrats provide their resistance. It was respectful, it was consistent, and it was sort of a real-time fact-checking with those signs, kind of like what you see in an auction. And I also think he really covered a wide range of domestic policy, almost an hour's worth before he even got to foreign policy. And at that point, he called out not only trade partners that are close to the United States, but those that are not so close. But I think it's interesting that he called out specifically South Korea, India, China, as perpetrators of unequal tariffs and trade arrangements. He took quite a bit of time early on in the speech on DOGE and on the cuts that it's making, defending those. That's, of course, a very specific message to Americans who are concerned about the impacts of those. On tariffs, he also attempted to address and assuage concerns about those. One of the most interesting quotes I found there is he had a little bit of an aside, and I'm actually not even sure it was in his prepared remarks. Quote, "There will be a little disturbance," he said, "but we're okay with that." That was the note that I took. And, certainly it is not the case that every American will be okay with cost of living rising prices due to those tariffs. So we'll have to see how that plays out. He talked about border patrol and border control, DOJ reform, ending violent crime, a lot of pediatric cancer, and actually the levels there and the things that he wants Bobby Kennedy to do. Moving on to military action, I think one of the more consequential things he announced tonight was the apprehension of this top terrorist responsible for the Abbey Gate attacks that killed 13 service members. That seemed to be probably one of the biggest news items out of this speech tonight. Right. And lastly, sort of ending on a very metaphysical note, if you will, quote, "I believe I was saved by God to make America great again," which is something we've heard him say before. But I think in the context of looking at the guests that he had, particularly the family of the man who took one of the bullets during that assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, that too was a poignant moment for the president tonight.
All right. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for joining us with your insights on this and sharing your key takeaways on this with us. Of course, like I was telling Dr. Kupchan and Susan as well, this is just the surface. There was so much that was said. And of course, we'll continue to unpack that through the course of the day.